So what is up? Welcome back to the Interstate 69 Motorsports YouTube channel. I'm going to take a step back. You guys can look and see what we got behind us here. So we've got the all-new 2024 Polaris Ranger XD 1500. So this bad boy has been in development for a little over 7 years. And that sounds crazy, but guys, you have to think, this is the Polaris machine with the most payload, most towing capacity out of any Polaris machine built to date. And not to mention, it's a Polaris first to have a steel belt CVT design partnered with a 3-cylinder engine. So this machine definitely is all new, redesigned, and I think we have a lot to dive into. But before we start hopping into some of the specs and features, let's check out this model specifically. So this is the Northstar Ultimate model in turbo silver. The XDs come in 3 different color options. You can get sunset red, turbo silver, and the pursuit camo. This is the ultimate trim level. You can also purchase the XDs with the Northstar package as well as a premium Northstar trim level combination. And then you can purchase a regular premium without the HVAC and without the Northstar enclosure. But with all that to say, let's go ahead and dive into some of the features this machine has to offer. All right guys, moving on to the front of the vehicle, we have our Polaris 6,000 pound winch with rapid recovery. We also have 15 inches of ground clearance. We have 2 shackles on the front of the bumper as well as 2 auxiliary lights. These guys may be referred to as scene lighting or flood lighting, but basically 2 really bright LEDs on each side of the bumper that are controlled with an auxiliary switch in the cab. Talking about lighting, let's kind of go up here and look at the headlights that this machine comes with. They're very similar to the design on the previous Rangers, a little bit different. They have a dedicated accent light. They also have a low beam and a high beam. They're all controlled with a headlight knob in the cabin. I'm going to pull this hood off real quick just so you guys can see what's underneath. So when we take this hood off, we've got 2 clips right here that are pretty similar to a traditional Ranger style hood. Set this bad boy down. And we've also got our windshield washer reservoir, cabin filter. We have our bus bar. The big thing about the bus bar is that's Polaris' way of making accessories easy to hook up. Then we have some AM FM stuff for the ride command that's inside. But I'm going to put this hood back on real quick, and then we can talk about our charging port. So this is for battery maintenance. This is just like on the Expeditions. They put it on the front of the machine. You can hook up a battery tender when the machine is being stored and not driven. And then let's move over to the wheels and tires since we kind of touched on ground clearance. Just kind of show what gives the machine the ground clearance. So we have 30-inch Kenda tires with a 15-inch 5 lug pattern wheel. We also have very large brake rotors and calipers. So the calipers are going to be dual piston. And the reason why they have such large rotors and calipers is to stop the industry-leading payload of 3,500 pounds. They have to have a good braking system to be able to stop that. But other than that, guys, let's go ahead and just kind of hop in and see what pretty cool features are on the inside of this machine. All right, guys, so we made it to the inside of the machine. So let's just start left to right, kind of go over all the features that we can see. So right here, this is a little bit different than what we're used to. We're used to rocker switches for our unlock and lock of the differentials. The XDs have what they call Ultra Turf, or have the ability to do Ultra Turf. So basically you can click this button and that will lock in your front differential. So the red light means it's locked, and then you can unlock your rear end, showing that basically the front wheel would be pulling and your rear end would be unlocked. They call that Ultra Turf. Then you can unlock your rear end and of course keep in traditional turf mode. This is your drive mode selector. So you guys can see right here across the dash, when I turn this, it's going to put us in different drive modes. And used to, the drive modes were related to throttle response, and it's still kind of set up that way, but with the dual clutching with the steel belt, there's a lot more factors that are affected by your drive modes. So if you were in comfort, basically you're going to have a lower RPM at operating speeds, whereas standard, you'd have a little bit higher RPMs, a little bit more throttle response, a little bit more torque. And then sport would be, of course, the highest RPM at operating speeds, kind of zooming around the trails or anything like that. And then if we push this button in, you guys can see on the screen, it tells us that it's in tow haul mode. And basically that's going to be an equivalent to low. So if you guys are pulling any big heavy loads, like we said, the tow haul or the tow capacity of this thing is 3,500 pounds. You're going to be towing something like that. Basically, you can put it in a tow haul, and this machine no longer has a high and low. It's just simply park, reverse, and drive. So one thing that a lot of people don't really realize as well, with the steel belt design, when you put the machine in drive and let off the brake, the machine will creep. And as well as on a hill, it will actually keep itself from rolling backwards in most cases. So that's pretty cool. Right here, as you guys can see, is going to be our switch for the auxiliary lights that are up there on the bumper. And then this switch is pretty cool. So this is our hydraulic or electric hydraulic bed lift. So I'll go ahead and show you guys this. Carly can see the bed coming up. And so we'll go ahead and leave that bed up just so we can hop into the engine right after this and just kind of show all that off. But that's how it works. It works as easy as that. This machine has 1,500 pound bed capacity, which is pretty crazy. Our steering wheel, which is still comfortable, good. When I say comfort, I mean size and shape. It's super comfortable to deal with, as well as it tilts and it also telescopes, kind of like what we've seen in the Expeditions. It's just another step that Polaris is going to make sure that we have overall comfort in the vehicle. This is the headlight knob I was referring to earlier. You have your accent lighting, low beam, and then high beam. You can turn that off. As you guys can see, this is the Northstar model. So we're going to have our vents right here. This is going to be air conditioning and heating. And the big thing with the air and heat in this model is that it has zone control. So you have floor vents. You have 2 floor vents that are shaped like this up under my feet. It's going to be really hard to get a camera angle of that, but I'll do my best for you guys. And then we also have our normal forward vents, and then we have our defrost as well. And then above our vent right here, I'll get you guys a good shot of it. We have our JBL audio that's all throughout the Ranger. So that's something that comes on the Ultimate models. You get the full JBL package, amazing stereo system, crisp quality sound. Our tachometer or our gauge is very similar to what we're seeing on other 24 models. You still get the dual sweeping analog. Everything you need to see is on the gauge. And then, guys, I know this is probably a long talking part, but let's go ahead and talk about the Ride Command. This machine has Ride Command and Ride Command Plus technology. You guys are probably familiar with Ride Command. It's just a navigation system and as well as controls the JBL audio. But without all that, with the Ride Command Plus, basically you get alerts on the vehicle's health, oil change intervals, where the machine is as far as location, and a lot of other cool features like that that are included with the Ride Command Plus if you get the app, which is pretty neat. We have a windshield washer, or windshield wiper and washer combo right there. We have a rear auxiliary switch in here, and basically what that is for a 15 amp power supply that's in the bed. And then we have our windows, which are on our switch right here. I'll go ahead and show you guys that. So windows come up and down off the switch, and those are in the center. And then we have our winch beside that. Underneath that, we have 2 USBs, as well as a 12-volt power supply. We have I'll hop out for you guys real quick. We have a center console right here. And if you guys wanted to, it has a phone holder, 2 cup holders. You can raise that up. And then you have 2 cup holders under the center seat, as well as having a full bench seat across. And if you guys are interested in a crew model, the crew model will be set up exactly like that. Basically, this seat combo would just move back. So it will turn into a 6-seater if you were to get a crew model. Guys, let's go ahead and hop over to the other side and check out the glove boxes. All right, everybody. So before we get in, I want to show off these doors. So if you guys remember the Expeditions, if you haven't seen our video on that, go check that out. But on the Expeditions, they have a very similar style door with the handle on the outside, which I am a huge fan of. But these actually have door stops, kind of like a vehicle or in the automotive world. So we can push that open and it'll stop at the next click, and then we can push it all the way open out here. We do have some cargo nets in the doors, as well as a phone holder right here behind the door handle. Let's go ahead and crawl in and see if we can see these glove boxes. So we have 2. So we're going to have 1 glove box here with pretty decent space, as well as our USB for our Ride Command hookup. Put this back in here. And then we also have a glove box right here with adequate space all the way through. And then, guys, I want to see if I can kind of scoot over and show you guys this Ride Command console. So this is a 7-inch display on the Ride Command. I'm going to show you guys just a little bit of how it works. You can see your gauges and everything right here. And one of the biggest things that I think people are most surprised about is that if I click that right there, you guys can see that these are your heated seats, which are on the Ultimate model. So these, you can turn these on, and instead of going at like most vehicles where they start at the highest and go lowest, these actually start at the lowest and go to their highest point, which I personally prefer, because most of the time if you're ever going to use one, you want it to kind of start low. All right guys, so I want to show you real quick how to put this machine in neutral. I know a lot of you guys may pull this behind other equipment or anything like that and need the machine to go in neutral. Don't worry, Polaris has thought about that. So right here above your right knee when you're operating the machine, you guys can see we get a nice little cover panel here with all our instructions. So basically we can turn this switch, we can pull it out until it locks. You can see right here on the dash, we're showing neutral. And then to put it back into normal park, basically turn the machine, or turn the handle, push it back in, and then you can reinstall your cover. And there you go, simple as that. Let's go ahead and dive to the back end. We can see the bed, and we can also see the powertrain that we're working with. And I think we might be able to get ready to wrap this video up. I know it's a long one, but stick with us guys. We got a ton of features to come. We're right back here at the powertrain. So this basically is your intake runner. We have a 3-cylinder ProStar engine. So this is very similar to the Pro R engine. Talking with Polaris, basically what they've done is have almost the exact same engine, but just with one drop cylinder in a way. So it's a very similar design to the Pro R engine. We do have our AC compressor and all that right over here. We have our air box right here, coolant reservoir, easy to reach right here. And guys, I'll go ahead and get a shot of this. Our oil filter is super easy to get to right here. Just for you guys wondering, I know somebody may be curious about how to service the transmission. There's a spot in the skid plate that you can take out, drop the transmission pan, and that's where the filter and fluid will be held for the transmission. But other than that guys, let's let this bed back down so we can really go over how deep and how much larger this bed is. All right, so we've made it to the back. We've got our bed down. Real quick, I've got my notepad with me. Don't worry guys, I know my stuff, I just haven't wrote down. This is for our measurements and everything. But we've got 2 cup holders up here. Then we have some slots right here. These are used for the rack system that goes up. And guys, you can see down the side of the bed, we've got our lock and ride rack system. It's very similar to what we've seen in the bed of the Expeditions. It's kind of Polaris' new way of making sure the accessories are basically really quick and easy to attach and detach, so you can use the machine for multiple purposes. If we look right here in all 4 corners of the beds, we do have our tie downs. Then we also have our bucket holders. So we've got cutouts in the bed that can hold 4 buckets across. And I think that's a good time to bring up some numbers. So this bed is 43.4 inches wide, 56 inches long, and 13.4 inches deep. And that's wider, deeper, and longer in every way than previous Rangers before. So if you're somebody who seems to always be running out of bed space in a typical Ranger, this might be an option for you. Let's go ahead and talk about our tailgate. So it's a 500-pound capacity tailgate, so it can hold quite a lot of weight. The bed, of course, can still hold 1,500 pounds altogether. We do have our measuring device right here, so whether you're doing a small woodworking job, or if you're catching fish, or whatever you guys need to measure, we got that right there. We've got some cutouts right here. These cutouts are designed to hold a tape measure and a couple other tools right here. We've got 2 cup holders on each side. And guys, one really cool thing is Polaris has even put bottle openers right here, so you can enjoy your glass Cokes. Our tailgate does have quite a bit of weight to it, but it's still a typical style tailgate. It closes with ease, nothing to really complain about there. We do have our LED taillights on the back right here. We do have some custom Northstar badging on this unit. But real quick guys, let's go ahead and jump into just a couple of the features that we want to touch on just real quick before we close the video out, and then we'll get to the startup. Real quick, just to talk about suspension on the XD 1500. We've got our rear shocks here. Basically both front and rear are going to have about 12 inches of travel. In the front we are going to have arched upper and lower A-arms. In the rear we have arched lower arms with a little bit different mounting style on the uppers, being the knuckle in the rear is a little bit different. We have our sway bar mounted right here that actually runs through the control arms right before the axle. A little bit different design. We still have our 2-inch receiver hitch from the factory. We have some heat shields here covering up our exhaust, and then we also have our rear view camera right here that's right under the bed. But again, we still have our 30-inch Kenda tires in the rear with our dual bore brake calipers and rotors. Real quick, I know I mentioned it earlier when we were talking in the cabin. There is an auxiliary power switch for the bed, and basically what that's going to be pointing to is this little bitty little cover right here. So this is real similar to a battery tender port lead. Basically what this is going to be used for is if you guys are running any kind of inverters or anything like that to power up 12 volt equipment, or spray rigs. That's a lot of things I see mostly in the back of these things is farmers and stuff spraying. So you don't have to run a wire to the battery anymore. You can, or have a battery in the bed, you can hook it up right here. You control that on and off with a switch in the cabin. And then also controlled with a switch in the cabin is the cab light. So basically this is going to shine down in the bed and around the vehicle to make sure that you can see your cargo and the vehicle at night. Let's go ahead and jump inside the cab. We have just a few more things that we want to hit on and then we'll get to the startup. All right guys, so let's go ahead and dive into the seats. I know it's something a lot of people tend to skip over in the walkarounds just because they think it's common knowledge, but I want to touch on it. So you guys, normally if you lift up one seat, you lift up both of them. Polaris thought about that. If you have a passenger in this side but still want to access your under seat storage, basically you can lift up this middle seat right here and you get all of your storage right here. And then, so we can close this and we can actually lift the passenger seat up. And of course got our hinge there for support, and you can still access your underseat storage. We've got another bucket holder that can actually be pressed on with the top of the seat, and then we have our fuse block and battery and all down there. So let's go ahead and lower this seat back down. I want to talk about the headliner real quick. So we've got our switch console up here. Of course this is for our cab light that's on the rear of the machine. As you guys can see, we're using filming purposes. We've got our super bright dome light up here to be able to see in the cabin at night. And then there's a little fuse block right here that has a bus bar attachment, basically to hook up any accessories you run on that top switch to hook that up. And then one of the last things before we get to the startup is I want to show that the Ultimates do have the tip out windshield. They've changed the design up a little bit. We've got a tab right here in the middle of the handle that allows it to pivot. And then with a little bit of pressure, you can push this windshield out like that. And then you have a tip out so you can get any dust or you can see outside, anything like that. And then you take and pull your windshield in. Don't want to slam it, guys. And take and lock it back in place. And guys, I know you've been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it. We've talked a lot about the machine. It has so many features, and I'm trying to get them all in for you. But let's hear how this thing sounds. We just got done with a walk around of the XD 1500. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like. And if you have any questions, make sure to drop a comment down below. And after you get done leaving your like, dropping your comment on what you think about the XD, make sure to subscribe because we're going to be comparing the XD to the Expeditions and the regular typical Rangers. Just kind of show you guys the difference between all the other Polaris machines that have come out this year model. And guys, I really want to take a moment to extend our gratitude for you guys watching these videos. This is kind of what we do to really help you guys make an informed purchase and show you guys all about the machine. And real quick, there's a reason why people drive from all 50 states to come purchase from us, whether that be our in-house powder coat, our extremely awesome financing options, or if you guys go ahead and visit our website at i69motorsports.com, you can click for a quote, or you can give us a call today at 731-885-1792, and we promise that you won't regret it.